What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? We back again, man, with tragic news, man. We're here to talk about the track and field incident that happened in Frisco, man, between the young kid Carmelo, man, and the other young kid who badly lost his life, Austin. And we're here to talk about, man, everything that transpired, the state of the country, and all the underlying issues, man. We're here to dive into it, man, and give our perspective. So sit back, man, enjoy it, man, and try to see where we're coming from. And this is my co-host.
Hey, what's going on? It's your boy John. Go ahead and grab yourself something to drink. Sit back, relax, and let that be known. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. We had to jump on this on this news topic here, man, because it's been everywhere, man. Of course, it's been viral. The fatal stabbing of this young kid, the fatal incident. For something to be able to escalate like this is tragic within itself. I would I would hope things could be resolved before it escalate this way. Often have to ask, where was the supervision? Obviously, he didn't just walk up and stab the guy, so obviously there was an altercation first. So where was the supervision there? And I think everybody, failed these young kids. The supervision there failed. The kids that were around failed. This could have easily been broken up. A slight altercation turned into a really big altercation. This was something made out of nothing. And this is what outlets have been posting and been saying. It was raining pretty hard at the track meet. So they have tents set up. And from what I understand is the young man had got permission to go under that tent, even though it was not his said school or said team. But he had permission to be under the tent. And from what the outlets have been posting, the twins, it was twins. One of the twins got stabbed fatally, had a problem with him being under the tent. And basically was trying to, force him up out of the tent. He wasn't budging. And they went for to basically bully him out of the tent. And they went to put their hands on him to forcibly move him up out of this tent. And as they're putting their hands on this young kid, he says, "Put your hands on me again and see what happens." And the other kids, they didn't back down and put their hands on him again. He goes into his backpack, pulls out a knife, stabs the kid, and takes off. And that's pretty much the gist of the story of how a small incident turned into a tragic big incident. How many wrongs turned into a huge wrong. So, man, what's your take on this, man, before we dive into the videos?
Oh, man. This is definitely an unfortunate situation, man. Very unfortunate. A young person lost his life at such a very young age, even before life really began, over some unfortunate events. Basically alleging to some potential bullying, and to where it ended up where someone let their emotions get the best of them. Um, I think it's a lack of parental guidance that could have diffused the situation, possibly from getting to that point. Um, and I would even venture to say
Even
maybe
classmates.
maybe even promoting it or condoning it. I will even go venture as far as to say that. It seemed like what's so sad about it is so preventable, I would think. Um, but I end it there. I won't go dive too far into it because we're gonna unravel this thing layer by layer.
Mhm.
We're gonna flesh it out. And then once we flesh it out, we'll leave it up to you to make your decision from it. Of course, it's he say, she say, or he say at this point, especially with the investigation still going on. But we're going to flesh it out and dive into it a little bit, and then we'll go from there.
Teenager accused of stabbing another student athlete at a track meet told officers as he was being taken into custody that he did it in self-defense.
Austin Metcalf was killed this week at that Frisco track meet. New documents detail what happened before and after 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony allegedly pulled a knife from his backpack and stabbed him. Fox 4's Alex Boyer joining us now live with the latest. Alex.
Hey guys, and in that 7-page arrest warrant affidavit, several witnesses, including Metcalf's twin brother, describe how that deadly encounter went down. The suspect then reportedly admitted to a Frisco police officer who detained him that he had stabbed Metcalf.
My son is gone, and I don't really have words. I've tried to figure out what I was going to say, but he's just going to be so missed.
The pain is still raw for the Metcalf family after 17-year-old Austin Metcalf was killed on Wednesday morning at a UIL District 11-5A track meet in Frisco.
I think he was extremely smart, always in the box. He just came to him real easy, and just him playing with football as well just made him just a great person overall.
Here's what happened according to witnesses and the police report. Metcalf got into an argument with the suspect, 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony, over a seating dispute in the bleachers. Metcalf told Anthony he needed to move from under the team's tent.
He always was one to step up and be the person that would do the right thing. And he was doing the right thing by saying to this gentleman that you're not supposed to be in this tent. This is because they have personal items there.
Anthony opened his bag and reached inside and said to Metcalf, "Touch me and see what happens." Metcalf reportedly grabbed Anthony and told him to move.
He knew he wasn't supposed to be there. He was just a tragedy what happened.
That's when Anthony pulled out a black knife and stabbed Metcalf in the chest once before running away. When Anthony was taken into custody by a Frisco police officer, Anthony reportedly confessed to the crime, saying, "He put his hands on me. I told him not to," adding that, "I was protecting myself," and then asked the police officer, "Is he going to be okay?" Metcalf died in his brother's arms.
I'm not at that point to forgive and forget, but eventually I will. But I pray for his family. I pray that they understand what we're going through as well.
This whole community has really wrapped their arms around us. And if I could say anything to the nation, I would say to make sure that you just hug your babies tight, because you don't know when the last time you get to do it.
And in a statement released by the Metcalf family this afternoon, they say their focus is now on laying Austin to rest. Meanwhile, I can tell you that Anthony remains in the Collin County Jail with a $1 million bond. Back to you.
So that's the gist of the story, or that's the gist of what they're giving us. We're gonna dive into it. Because as you may know, to everything that happens, every tragic thing that happens, there's always more than what meets the eye. Always, right? There's always more. That's why they say there's their side, there's his side, and then there's the truth. Somewhere in the middle. Neither side is gonna always be straight up truthful about everything that transpired. And so that's why when you have situations like this, it becomes so difficult to really understand what happened, why it happened, man, how this escalate so fast, what's going on. I mean, when the news first broke, like they didn't even put out about the altercation between the boys. It was almost like he just walked up and just stabbed the guy. And so someone reached out to me, was like, hey man, are y'all gonna touch on the story? And I said, well, there's not enough info out. All we have now is a kid walked up to another kid and stabbed him at a track meet. That's all I had. I mean, can't really do a story on that. There's no information like what made him do it. That hadn't came out yet. It didn't come out until like a day or two later, like, oh, the guys decided to put hands on me and basically yank him up out of the tent. Basically is what transpired. And so it escalated from there. And so, like I said, this is tragic. This is tragic. You never want to see anybody lose their life this way, or you never want to see young kids, lose their lives this way. Shame on, on supervision, man. And then also, man, these kids are 16, 17 years old, man. Shame on the people that's around, the kids that's around, man. Like this wasn't that serious that to where people couldn't intervene and be like, hey man, y'all chill out. Like it ain't that serious, bro. Or if you just really wanted him to move, and you feel like he ain't supposed to be there, which the young kid come to find out he had permission to be there. But go get a supervision, be like, hey man, this dude is up on our tent. He don't belong to our school. They went to Memorial, he went to Centennial. So you could have easily like, hey man, he go to a whole nother school. And that could have been resolved versus putting your hands on someone. When you put your hands on somebody, the scary thing about it is you don't know where that person is willing to take it. So like you have to always, it's almost like road rage. Like I would tell my wife, like, man, be careful honking at people. Because you never know where people are willing to take it. We've seen people get their head blown off for honking at someone. A simple honk. They get out shooting. Do not put your hands on somebody unless it's absolutely necessary. Unless you absolutely defending yourself. Now the young man was wrong for getting a knife and stabbing this kid for this. He was dead wrong. It was unnecessary. He could have walked away. But we're gonna dive more into it, man. It's a lot deeper, man. Let John give his take.
Yeah, man. Like I said earlier, man, it was unfortunate, man. Especially in that area, Frisco, man. Anybody that's familiar with the DFW area, man, Frisco is nothing goes on in Frisco, man. It's suburbs. It's real close. Like it's nothing goes on in Frisco. So Frisco,
Cowboys practice.
yeah, it's what a Cowboys practice. So nothing goes on out there. And it's like 20 minutes from me, 20, 25 minutes. So it's fairly close. And then the thing about that, any sporting event, especially here in Texas, there's going to always be security there.
For sure.
Especially in a place like that, in that type of area, is multiple type. They don't have just security, they have police.
I mean, look at how fast the police got the kid.
So there's police there. It could have easily been diffused if it was that big of a deal. Go get security. Hey, can you come remove this guy? He's
Get security. Get a coach.
Get a coach.
Get an adult.
and just say, hey, can you get them out before it gets to that point. And something kind of alerted me. Kind of alerted me about the situation, why the young man had a knife in the first place. It kind of makes me think, man, he may have been a victim of bullying.
That's what they said. They said he had been dealing with bullying.
And you never know what people's breaking point is.
And also they said that the twins are impartial to bullying.
And so, and if you kind of read between the lines of what the mother said,
she basically told you.
he kind of feeds into confrontation. And so, if you kind of picked up what she was saying, she was trying to skip around it in a sense. But if you kind of just listen to what she was saying, this is not the first time he's had some type of incident of this nature.
She said when there's problems, he likes to step forward and assert himself to take care of the
right. And so, and that's where I go back to where I said the parents is kind of at fault as well. If you know that your child is like this, you okay. We're gonna get into it, but
we're gonna get deeper into this thing,
so
man.
we're gonna peel it layer by layer. But I at least want to say that I just
it ain't as black and white as it.
Yeah,
but
like I said, I think he's been a victim of bullying previously, and he just kind of got to the point of I'm tired of it.
He just found a way that he thought that he could basically take up for himself,
right?
Which is wrong,
right?
And which is
misguided.
It's bad parenting on both sides of the field, because you have this young kid here who's probably being bullied and hasn't been taught by his parents on how to handle said situations or how to handle himself. So he feel like the only way he can do that is if he gets a weapon.
Yeah.
Then you have, on the other hand, you have the kids to where they feel like, if you don't do what I say, I'll make you do what I say. And that's kind of what the situation was. They wanted him to move. He was like, no, I can be here. And they said, okay, you ain't gonna move. We'll make you move.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah.
So we're gonna get into it, man. We're gonna get into it. We got another video for you guys, man. This guy is gonna give a wider view of perspective of said situation and just everything going on in the country.
Oh my goodness. So you guys need to understand how many people were begging me to do a video on this story. They were just harassing me, bro, just haranguing me. Just, Lucas, you can do a video on this story? It's because the victim's white. You're not gonna do a video on the story, huh? It's because, you hate white people. Is that white? Bro, they were just screaming and hollering because they thought they had the smoking gun when it came to this story. Let me just say this. There are a group of white people who want to be a victim. That's correct. They want to be seen as a victim, even though throughout the entire history of this country, that has never been the case. All right. And they will go out of their way to be this victim. And they will offload all their problems on groups of people, whether it's the Jews or their favorite, the blacks, okay? The reason why they didn't get the job, it was a black person. It's DEI, okay? That's why I didn't get the job. The reason why they didn't get, the other job is, the owner is a Jew. That's why they didn't want to give me the job, because the Jews hate white people. And they will do everything and anything to cope for their inadequacies and why they aren't where they want to be in life. Damn. It just is what it is, okay? And these white people, unfortunately, are very vocal, okay? Very vocal. And those that disagree with them, the white people that disagree with them, well, they're the traitors, okay? They don't understand. The blinds haven't been open, right? They're not red pill enough, yada, yada, yada. All this foolishness. But one thing I do find humorous is that these group of white people, the only time that they care about white lives is when they think that they can blame it on a black person. That's the only time they care about white lives. The only time white lives matters to them is that they can say, see, it's the black guy. See, we can't live with them. See, they're violent. That's the only time. And I think that's really sick. I think that's really deluded, that you need a black criminal in your eyes to give white life value. That's unfortunate.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Nevertheless, this leads us to this story. And with most stories, there is a forced narrative. And the forced narrative of this story that I came across was there was this innocent white kid, okay? He was a student athlete. And you know what? There was this violent black kid. And this white kid just simply told the black kid, hey, can you move, please? We just want you to move, please. That's all we want. And the black kid took out his knife and right into the white kid, and now the white kid is gone. All right, and he had a brother. Okay, he had a brother, and his brother loved him so much, and the family is devastated. That was the narrative that they pushed forward, and this is typical for what they do. This is their MO. They love pushing forward a false narrative before the real narrative comes out. They did this, y'all remember Ahmaud Arbery? Oh, he had a hammer. Oh, he was looting and robbing. Oh my gosh, it was self-defense for the white guy. Oh my God, this guy was a criminal. He attacked him. And they will run with that story. That'll be the first thing they do. They push it out. They push the narrative out because they want to get ahead of the truth. Because as we know, once it goes to court, that's when we get discovery. That's when we get the facts and the evidence. And that's when their narratives fall apart. And during that time, just as with this story, they will either A, switch it up, okay, they'll move the goalposts, or B, they'll lose interest because now it doesn't fit their narrative, right? It doesn't fit their more black narrative, right? So that's what we're seeing, right? That's what we're seeing right now, is that people, upon, more evidence coming out of what transpired that day, people are starting to lose interest because now it's showing that, oh, this kid wasn't just some angry black kid. Oh, the white kid wasn't just some innocent white kid who just happened to fall on a knife. That's not what happened. So as more information comes out, what seems to be the story that we've gathered thus far is that these kids were a bunch of bullies. You have, witnesses who are saying that they were the ones that initiated this whole interaction. They initiated and they were the aggressors. And the black kid is claiming self-defense, is what he originally claimed. That is seeming to be more likely true, okay? Now, we'll find out once we go to court and everything's laid out on the table, but you had a family member saying, hey, there's video of this, okay? There's video of this and don't fall for the race baiting. Now, when we talk about race baiting, I always find it funny that you can't race bait in the other direction. Has anyone ever noticed that, right? When it comes to, a white person and you say, oh, it's the blacks, man. This black kid is horrible. They got a cultural problem. This is why we got to deal with the blacks and everything. They don't consider that race baiting. They'll never consider that race baiting. But when you say, hey, why did this white kids, hurt this black kid? Or why did this, white husband completely destroy his black wife or something like that? Then that's when the accusations of race baiting come. Oh, why are you race baiting? Why are you race baiting, huh? Why are you such a race baiter, huh? What are you a little race hustler? I always find that humorous to me because I'm like, oh, so you can only race bait in one direction. And the direction is something that criticizes this particular group of white people for doing acts of crime, acts of violence, because that falls in direct contrast to the narrative that they want to put out there. As with everything else, right? They want to, when it comes to, 1350, they want to look at one aspect, but completely ignore as far as those who were let free off of false arrests, off of false convictions. They want to ignore all that. Then they want to ignore all the other crimes, like that's the only crime is homicide or whatnot. So you have to understand they want to frame this world in favor of them. It will always be in favor of them, but at the same time, simultaneously, they're always the victim. It's a weird conundrum. I'm not going to lie. It's a weird conundrum. Okay. Damn. That's what seems to be this story. Is that this kid came out in self-defense and you had one incident where it says, hey, touch me again or come at me again and see what happens. Now, what happens? The kid, the high IQ, this is what they want to say, according to the racists, the high IQ, pattern recognizer, per capita elitist, what does he do? He goes and touches the kid again. And sure enough, This is the ultimate, from what it seems, the FAFO. F around and found out. And he found out. And now he's no longer with us. And for some reason, I'm supposed to feel bad about this. And just so we're clear, if the races were reversed, I'd say the same thing. But at the same time, I don't know a lot of black kids that if someone else were to reach into their bag and say, hey, you come at me again and you know, see what happens. I don't know a lot of black kids who would go, okay.
Wow, hold on. that's a lot.
He going in. He's peeling this thing back layer by layer. It's a lot deeper than what meets the eye.
Yeah, that is for sure. He's not pulling no punches with this
at all.
I mean, no punches with this. He's giving it to you straight. And even as much as it may make you cringe, is you can't. So far, you can't.
Like you can hate his delivery, but what he's saying is absolutely true.
Yeah.
Like we have a situation here of two kids, one black kid, one white kid. You have a kid who sits down under this tent. The other kid, the white kid, doesn't want him there. He gets up and tries to physically remove this kid from under this tent. And testimonies say that these guys are bullies. Yeah. Like this is what they do. They try to bullies. They try to bully kids. Well, don't try. They actually bully kids. And so they said this is going to come out in discovery when it goes to court. Like they have videos of these guys actually bullying kids. So it's not the way the narrative was painted. Like he said, when it came out, it was like some self-defenseless white kid was just like, "Hey, you're under our tent. Can you move?" And the black kid just walked up and just started stabbing him. That's how it was portrayed.
Yeah.
And I want to put this in here. This is so funny. When this broke, that black kid face was on there immediately. We have watched several school shootings of white kids shoot up schools. And it takes forever to find out who that white kid is. And forever to find out what his face look like.
And they hide under the guys. He's a minor.
He's a minor.
And like he said in the video, man, common sense is if someone is reaching in their bag and said, if you touch me again, watch what happens. Common sense is do not run up on this person.
Not if you feel superior. If you feel superior, they actually thought that he just wouldn't do anything.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I guess because maybe it's just the way we grew up or something. It's just like, what
I'm saying is, when you're willing to put your hands on somebody, it's for a few reasons. Either you're defending yourself, or either you're crashing out, or either you think that you're just superior. Hey, I'm stronger than you. I'm going to show you. I don't want you here, so I'm going to move you. And then I feel like that ain't nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
We seen people like that. We went to school people like that just feel I'm superior than you. I'm stronger than you.
That's true.
And I want to do something to you. I do it. If I don't, I don't. Then you have people that'll crash out.
Yeah.
People that'll just do stuff just for the sake of it. I don't care if I am superior. I'm just going to do it.
That's true.
And then you have people that put their hands on people for defense. Like, I don't have no choice. Like, you putting your hands on me.
Yeah. I guess like he said, F around and find out.
But it was interesting. I want to put this in here before we go back to this video. He brought up the Ahmaud Arbery. And for those who don't know the case, please go look it up. It's a sad case, man. And for those who haven't seen the video, man, it's a sad video. We watched a black man run for 3.5 minutes for his life.
Literally for his life.
Being chased down blocks and streets. Being boxed in by 2 trucks. With a man yelling at you, pointing a firearm at you. Telling you what he gonna do to you. Finally, the guy runs out of gas. He's tired. Truck stops. He gets out with a shotgun. Ahmaud Arbery do what he thought he could do was try to fight, take the gun away. And they said he was at fault. Or let's go back to the Trayvon Martin incident. We have a guy who walked away scot-free.
To this day.
Because it was supposed to be, quote unquote, stand your ground. When there was no ground to be stood on. You have a black kid who he chased down to shoot him.
In
Like,
opposition
it's not
of police commands told him not to.
The 911 operator told him to stand down. Police is on the way. He says, no, I'm chasing him. She says, do not chase him. He continues to chase this boy. Chase him down and guns him down. We have several school shootings. Seem like every year.
Yeah. Now they moving into events.
Now you have event shootings. You know, people shooting up the Super Bowl and things of that nature. But those never really got that much out. Those never really got that much publicity. Not like this one. Like, we have a school shooting where babies are getting killed. I think one was like up to like 30, 40 people got hurt and killed. And you didn't hear people in a uproar. People was like, yeah, it's sad. But you didn't hear people up in an uproar. Not like this incident.
Yeah.
We have people walk inside of churches, shoot old ladies down, shooting at pastors.
And get Burger King out there.
And then ask for Burger King. They buy him Burger King on the way to jail. As if good job. Like, this is a lot deeper. And people, I'm going to say it. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to say it. People are in the uproar because he's a black young kid. And people are in the uproar because, like the gentleman said, it makes their narrative feel good. That if this did happen, it feels good that it was a black boy that did it. It makes them feel so good. It makes people feel so good that they didn't even care about the situation at hand. What happened? Like, people weren't even asking that. Why would he stab him? Why would he bring a knife to school? And I said, well, that's a good question. You should dive deep into that. Like, why does this kid feel the need to bring a knife to school? Evidently, it's not on malicious intent, because he would have been to stab somebody.
Then not only that, even after the incident happened, when he got picked up, he asked the officer, was he okay?
Not only that, he fessed to it. He didn't say, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do nothing. Evidently, he didn't go too far, because it didn't took him no time to find the boy.
And if anybody that's of malicious intent is not gonna ask for the well-being of somebody,
Or gonna just readily fess up to it and be like, yeah, I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a lot deeper, man. This is a lot deeper issue than people wanted to make out to be. This is why we didn't touch on the subject as soon as it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it popped up across my phone and people started messaging me about this subject, I didn't even bring it up to John, because I was like, we don't have enough.
No,
we don't have enough to go on. Like, it's going to be pretty much an irrelevant show.
Mm-hmm.
Because all we had was Karmelo got into an altercation and he stabbed the kid, and the kid died. That's all we had.
No context.
We had no context. Like, what happened? Like, what made him do this? Like, what made him feel like he needed to do this? Like, why did they put their hands on him? Like, none of this stuff here was talked about. And like we said before, both parties was wrong. He was wrong. He was wrong. He handled it wrong. He was wrong for having a knife. He was wrong for stabbing his kid. But on the other hand, we cannot ignore, and this is what we're here for, we cannot ignore what made this transpire. And I know people don't want to hear this, and this is going to be unpopular. And this is why we're here, to talk about the things that people don't want to talk about. What made all of this transpire is because you had an individual who refused and couldn't keep his hands to himself. Had he not put his hands on this young man, both of these young men would still be here today. One would not be in jail, and the other one would not be in the grave. This all escalated from someone putting their hands on someone else to try to make them do what they want them to do. In other words, he tried to bully the young boy. He didn't want him under the tent. Evidently, the young black boy wasn't going to move. From words out, from testimonies of people that was there, they said it was raining pretty hard.
Yeah.
Which is why the tents were out like in abundance as they was.
Mm-hmm.
And so word says it, or word has it, that pretty much you was able to go up under pretty much any tent that you can get up under because of the outpouring rain. Wherever you could find shelter, it was okay for you to be up under the tent.
Yeah, I remember that day, man. It was raining pretty hard here.
And so that's what was said. And so this kid so happened to park himself up under this tent. And the kids, or the young kid, or the twins didn't want him under there. They say move. Obviously he said no. It's raining, They get up and they put their hands on him and begin to forcibly try to move him. And they said they grabbed him by the arm and I guess begin to strong arm him and move him out. And he says, hey, don't put your hands on me. If you touch me again, see what happens. The kid, I guess, thought, hey, he ain't gonna do nothing. This is the mindset of a bully. Because someone who ain't trying to bully would be like, man, just don't be under our tent.
Move around. Yeah.
But this is a sad story, man. But we're gonna dive back into this video, man. We're gonna, he gonna ruffle a little feathers, man. He rough around the edges, man. He ain't gonna smooth it out for you. He rough.
Yeah.
Like, that's not just being in this country. That's not how we're trained. And this is a partly due to post-traumatic slave syndrome, a book that I recommend you all read. But yeah, that's not going to happen. But there has to be a certain level of privilege, like I said, post-traumatic slave master syndrome, that would somehow trigger in your brain to see, well, what is he going to do? What are you going to do to me, huh? I'm the master. And that's where that privilege comes from. And sure enough, he found out that, this privilege doesn't really, protect you from, knives. I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't protect you from knives. What I will leave you with this is that what's absolutely hysterical is that the father came out and told people, hey, please don't race bait. This isn't political. This is a human issue. This is a human problem. That's what this is.
Right off the start, because I've already heard some rumors and some gossip. This was not a race thing. And this is not a political thing. Please do not comment if you do not know what happened. Do not turn this into a racial thing. It was not. Do not politicize this. It's not. This is a human being thing. This person made a bad choice, and it affected both his family and my family forever.
And in response to this group of, these white group of racists were livid. They were upset because they saw this as the father being a race traitor. That's how they view it. They see the father as being a race traitor. Oh, he's just trying to shield the blacks. That's what he's trying to do. That's how demented and twisted these people are. That when you have the father of the slain boy saying, please don't race bait, that now they're upset because they can't race bait. It's comedy. And then what's even more comedy is, like I said, the actual story being that it's leaning towards actual self-defense, and the white boys that you all were screaming and crying about were actually in the wrong. Which is, man, how many stories do we have we come across that? And, as I said, they'll either play it down and be like, well, that's not the point. He shouldn't have had a knife. That's a new goalpost that they're moving to after they find out that the original narrative that they wanted to portray was false. Like the facts and evidence didn't justify that. So now they're trying to, once again, vilify the black boy and trying to say, oh, he shouldn't have had a knife. Why does he have a knife, huh? Why was he there? Why was he under the tent? It was raining. Why do you think someone would want to be out the rain? You have to understand that when it comes to these people, it's very simple. A plus B equals black kid guilty. That's it. It doesn't matter what A and B is. It will always equal black kid guilty. Black man guilty, black woman guilty. That's how their mind has been, designed, created, mutated. Anyways, guys, that's the video. I don't know what else there is to say, bro. They're like, what is the either or? You still want to be like, look, it's the dirt. Like, okay, go ahead. Have fun. I don't know. Have fun and cope. For the rest of us, it seems to be very much a self-defense. That's what it seems to be. I'm curious how it plays out in court because a lot of that really depends on the attorney and the jury. That's really what it depends on. The facts and evidence aren't always going to prove someone innocent. Unfortunately, that's just not how it works in this justice system in this country, especially regarding a black youth. Nevertheless, if you happen to disagree, you know where to find me Friday through Sunday, Disagreement Day. Call in and we will duke it out. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you did.
So there you have it. We chose this video for a reason. Because he was one of the only few ones out there that open basically showed the different many sides of this situation. And I hate this, and shout out to the father. Um Shout out to the father, man. He went on and on the news, and people did get mad at him, and he says, I don't want to make this a black or a white thing. He said, when I heard my son got stabbed, I wasn't asking, was he black or was he white, the guy that did it, you know, because it don't matter. He lost his son. If you get that news, that shouldn't be the first thing that pop up in your head. You might want to know what happened. But you that's not gonna be the first thing that pop in your mind. Is like, was he black? Was he white? What color was he? And the dad said what he should have said. Let's not make this a race thing. At the end of the day, he said the right thing. We both lost. I lost my son, and now their son is in the legal system. There was no winners. In other words, you have two kids who both made two dumb mistakes that could potentially cost them their life. You have one young kid who decided to put his hands on this young boy. You have another young kid who decided to retaliate by pulling a knife out and killing this young kid. That's what we have. We have a sad case of cause and effect. I don't think the young black boy stabbed him because he was white. I think the young black boy stabbed him because he was bullying him. And he figured I can't physically beat him up. And I believe the twins knew that too. They knew that, man, he what he gonna do? It's basically how they was treating him. Even when he said I when he's digging in his backpack, they still didn't believe that he would do anything. This is a sad story, man, of two kids who made two dumb decisions that potentially, that cost them their lives, man. That's what this story is, man. When you pull back the layers. Moral of the story, man. Kids out there, keep your hands to yourself unless you're absolutely defending yourself. Also, kids, weapons are not the answer. If you are getting bullied, man, keep talking to adults until you find the right adult who can help you with this situation. Don't stop at one adult. Keep going until you run into the right one that can help you. Because there are a lot of bad adults out there who don't know how to inform children on how to handle certain situations, or certain adults out there who just don't care. So if you are going through bullying, keep going to an adult, man. If you can't go to your parents until you find someone who can help you with that situation. And on the other hand, man, stop bullying kids. Keep your hands off of people. You shouldn't put your hands on nobody, man, unless you're defending yourself. Don't put your hands on nobody to make nobody to do anything. John, what's your take? What's your take, man? As we're nearing the close, man.
Yeah, man. Like I said, man. Shout out to the father, man, for not buying into the race baiting um stance of this matter. He kind of kept a level head in the sense of, it's a loss. Nobody wins in this situation. Um, and of course, as a father, man, that's your worst nightmare, to find out that your child, is gone. And not so much that, is with a black or white, it's like they're gone, like why, what happened? That's that's the first and foremost, the most important thing, far as and concern, not so much the color of their skin. Um, Even at this point, young Carmelo, he's still in custody on $1 million bond, which is pretty high, considering the circumstances when I've seen other people have lower bonds set. I do understand the circumstances and things of that nature. And I know his family, they did have a GoFundMe set up, but then that was canceled due to the outrage of race baiters. And so now they have a donation fund set up through Give, Send, Go. I've never heard of it until just recently while doing a little homework on this situation. They're trying to raise about 300 grand. So I guess that's in part to try to help him get bond and also help him to get some attorney because
if he don't get an
attorney, they're going to railroad him.
He's going to get life.
Yeah.
And might get life without parole.
Parole, right. So so far they've raised $209,815 at the time of this recording. So I believe that that's their goal, to get them bonded out, as well as to try to get them an attorney to help them fight this somewhat fair in court. So like I said, prayers to both families, man, during this situation, man. Like Dan said, man, if you're being bullied, man, please do not crash out. Do not get to this point. Nothing good comes out of that. Continue to fight. And I'm not saying in the fighting in the sense of where you're raging out, but to where you can find someone that can help you work through this, to work through your issues, on how to handle your issues, how to regulate your emotions, how to regulate yourself. That's very important. We never want to see situations like this. From where, you're getting bullied so much to where you just kind of just lose it. Nothing never good comes out of that. And we hate for it to happen, but it happened. And also on the other side, man, you have to be real with yourself. If your kids are a certain way, this is something that I would say this: you either condone it or you allow it. I mean, you condone it or you teach it. It's one of the two. It's one of the two. And so like we said earlier, we're pretty sure this is not this first incident of something of this nature.
Well, we don't have to say that. This is what the testimonies of the people that's that surround the situation have said. Like,
yeah. Well, I'm just saying. But yeah, so it just from from their point of view there, and then also from what we've seen. So this what's out here and the facts that are out here so far. Yeah, he's this is the dark side of that, of bullying, of when you're the superiority complex gets you to this point, gets you to this end. You never want to see it, but it does happen. This could be the effects of it. Pride comes before a fall. And it never rings more true than in a case like this.
And don't get us wrong. I'm not saying that the young kid shouldn't face any time.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying. But he definitely shouldn't be facing life.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like he stabbed someone who was absolutely doing nothing to him. I can understand if a kid was just sitting down on the bleachers and he just walked up and just stabbed the kid.
Right.
Yes. That's warrant of life without parole. Because you just stabbed somebody innocently who had nothing to do with nothing.
Yeah.
But to stab someone who is putting their hands on you and forcibly moving you from one place to another, that is not capital punishment to me. Now, did the kid handle it right? No. Didn't handle it right. You shouldn't have stabbed him. But obviously in that situation, he felt helpless because he felt like I can't physically, do anything in this situation. These guys are putting their hands on me. I can't physically do anything. And this is where we have gotten to in this era, man, of kids not knowing how to carry themselves in a level of self-defense. Like as for a young boy, man, it's critical for a young boy to know how to defend himself. As a parent, if you have a young boy and he doesn't know how to physically defend himself, you're doing him a disservice.
That is a fact.
And not only are you doing him a disservice, but you're doing his future family a disservice. Who wants a husband who can't defend him? Who wants a husband that they're not going to feel secure when they with them? This is why kids are picking up guns. This is why kids are so afraid to have a fist fight. And I'm not condoning fighting. I wish both parties would have just walked away.
Yeah.
Because it really wasn't that serious to have an altercation over him sitting under this tent when it's clearly the reason why he's sitting under there, because it's clearly pouring down.
Yeah.
It's not like he's under there just for the sake of just to bug y'all. He's trying to get out the rain. Man. So I hate this, man. I hate that this happened. This is tragic. But we wanted to shed light on this, man, so that you can see this story, man, from multiple lenses, man. Most people only want to see it through one lens of the kid who stabbed the other kid. Yeah, that's one side of it. That's one side of the coin. That did happen. Most people say, well, why he bring a knife to school? Well, it's coming out now that the kid is often bullied. Now you flip it to the other side of the coin. And you say, man, well, why do they put their hands on this young boy? Or you hear other testimonies of people saying, well, this is what they do. They are bullies. This is not the first incident that they have had of them putting their hands on somebody. And then somebody even went so far to say, well, you'll see in court, there's video of them doing this. So like I said, there's two sides to both stories. And then it's the truth. It's important to understand both sides of the story, and then it's important to understand both sides in fault. We already pointed out the fault of the one that stabbed Karmelo. We said he was in fault of stabbing his boy, and he was in fault of bringing a knife and carrying around a knife, thinking that would solve his problems. He was in fault of doing that. Now we have to point out the fault of the other child. And I know we hate to talk about it because he lost his life, but he was at fault. He was at fault of thinking that he can put his hands on somebody and basically do what he wants to do with them without any fault or consequences. He was wrong. He put his hands on that boy and began to physically move him to wherever he wanted him to be. And then after he was warned, he took it as a joke and went to put his hands on this young man again and further escalated the situation, which he could have just went and sat back down. So it's fault on both sides, guys. But like I said, at the end of the day, there's fault on both sides, but there are no winners. Both families are going through turmoil. You have one family who lost a son. They're going to be forever crushed, forever hurt. Then you have another family whose son is going through the legal system. They're hurt. And then not only that, can you imagine the death threats they're getting? Can you imagine, what people are messaging them? So they're going through that. So there's no winners here, man. Nobody has no peace. Nobody has no nothing, man. It's just loss.
Yeah, man.
And really, when you trace it back, it's due to bad parenting. You have parents of a kid who's a bully. Then you have a parents of a kid who didn't teach their kid how to handle himself. And now, when I say handle himself, they don't necessarily mean being physical. But a lot of times, how you carry yourself gives off a said confidence of how people handle you.
Very much true.
If you don't look confident about yourself, people aren't going to give you respect. And for those who play sports, know this. If you walk into a gym, a basketball gym, and you finna play pickup, and you look like you can't play, people are not going to pick you up, bro. Hey, man, can I run with you? Nah, dog.
No. I got who I'm running with.
I got mine. That's what you're going to hear. Until you have to wait and say, okay, I got after the 15th person, I'm next. That's what you're going to have to do.
No, yeah, you have to give off a certain aura, man, just as a man. And that's why fathers and father figures are so very important. Even in this society where it is so diminished, or the importance of it, they try to diminish it so much. This is a clear case of lack of a father figure, or a strong, let me say this, strong father figure, because it's a father figure and then it's a strong father figure. And this is a case of a lack of a strong father figure. You should never let it get to this point. You should never let it.
Growing up, we were taught not to bully.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is basically putting my hands on somebody just for the sake of, I feel like I can put my hands on you.
Yeah.
But growing up in the hood, there were a lot of bullies. It was everywhere. You had a lot of bullies, a lot of gangs, a lot of cliques who would just If they
Just
felt like they can do it and get away with it, they would
Mhm.
just do it for the sake of it
Yep.
because you looked at them wrong, or I want the seat you sitting in.
Yeah. No, that's a fact.
And the only way to survive in those eras, and there's a lot that goes on in sports. Like when you go to these tournaments, whether it's track and field, basketball, whatever, there's bullies at these tournaments, man. And the kids are there all day. And your child will get bullied.
They looking for the weak ones.
I know because I play sports. I play AAU. And I've seen it all the time. Seen guys get jacked up. And I seen adults just look.
Mm-hmm. Well, he better man up. He better.
And there's a very few kids with integrity that say, hey man, chill, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, but he better do this. Like, man, leave him alone, man. Why he ain't bothering nobody. Those are kids that are raised right.
Mm-hmm.
Those are kids that have structure in their life. Those are kids that are sure of themselves. But we don't have that. We don't have that in society. In this society, unfortunately, man.
No, that's for sure, man. Our father, he was hard on us, but it was needed. Like Dan said, we was taught not to bully, but not to be bullied either. It's two sides to that coin. But yeah, it's just sad. It's sad where society is now nowadays in regards to that. We went so far to the left that it's more and more cases like this that's happening.
I would give you guys. We'll close on this, and I'll give you guys a personal life story. I give you to a short one. So one about me. I am in middle school. I'm in middle school, 7th grade. I'm staying in Oak Cliff. For those who don't know, that's a hood in Dallas.
Oak Cliff, Texas.
I am going to Story Middle School. For those who know, off of Marsalis, right? Those who know how wretched the school is, right? But in the neighborhood, there were several cliques, several gangs, right? There were several bullies. And, oftentimes I had to walk to school. So those who know, that's a pretty good walk from, coming from, I stayed on at the time, Alabama and what used to be Missouri. It's now called another street, but I stayed on Alabama, Missouri. And I had to walk way up there past, I want to say, Sainer.
You passed Sainer.
Yeah, it's past Sainer. I can't remember the actual street.
Yeah.
But it was past Sainer. For those who know, for those who know, right?
True,
It's a good walk, right? And on this journey, you will often see cliques and gangs who will be on corners, right? And so it became a situation in school where one of my teammates on the basketball team, he was doing something what we call slap boxing. He was slap boxing the individual. And the individual is part of a clique. And one of his people jumped in, and now it's 2 people slap boxing my friend who's on the basketball team. So instinctively, I jumped in to help my teammate. You know, and slap boxing, for those who don't know, is basically play fighting. You know, for layman's terms. And, you know, it's the equate of play fighting of soft slaps. It's supposed to be soft slaps. Right? Little slaps of pushing the head to let them know, like, oh, I touched you. Like, that would have been a hit, like, if I was. And so that little incident, I didn't know, spoke volumes. Right? Now, the reason why this incident spoke volumes and why I'm telling this story is because we're outside the cafeteria. Now, my homeboy, we called him TK at the time. We called him TK.
I remember TK.
We called him TK, right? He was popular. I was pretty popular because we played sports. But TK is now basically getting jumped by these two guys. But everybody's afraid to help TK because of who these guys are and what clique they're attached to. And so people are watching him basically get jumped. And, you know, it's play fighting, but they're watching him. And this is supposed to be your homie. To show you, like, how self-defense and defending yourself and what people are willing and what not to do. I jump in not even thinking, like, this is just my homeboy. So I jump in, I'm not even thinking of who they are. And we begin to get on their tail. And, you know, we resolve it or whatever, laugh about it. And I had to walk home that day. And guess who I run into? These two individuals, but they with a whole clique this time. A little clique they call TNT. And for those who was around at that time, it was a little clique. And one of the guys had been shot with a shotgun. So he would drag his leg, you know, up and down. But he was notorious for getting into, you know, whatever. And, you know, if they caught you, they probably was going to jump you. And when I seen them, I said, oh, man, here they go. And so I kept, you know, I walked up to them and they dapped me up and said, oh, yeah, man, I heard about you, man. You was getting down. You got up on so-and-so. And just the immediate respect that you got of how you can carry yourself. And why it's needed. From that little slap boxing incident, I avoided so much chaos that I probably would not have avoided. And not only avoided, but I was able to help people out of chaos because these people respected me. I was able to say, hey, man, leave him alone, man. Oh, that's my partner, man. He cool. Now, which trickle on down, now I have kids. So my oldest son, you know, for those who don't know, he's more of a reserved type of guy. Right? He's different from his younger brother. Right? So, you know, my oldest son, he was in music class. And apparently this had been going on, but he just didn't say nothing. He's not gonna say nothing unless he just absolutely have to say something. And I had already told him, I said, yeah, if someone is picking on you, they're gonna keep picking on you until you let them know that this ain't the way to go. This is not cool. And I said, it's gonna come down to one or two things. Either they're going to listen to what you say or they're going to listen to what you do. So they're in music class. And apparently, you know, he's like, okay, you know, that's enough. And the guys are, you know, picking at him and things of that nature. He's so reserved that you think he's a pushover. And so he tells him, hey man, stop. He wouldn't stop. And so my son, punched him in the stomach. The little boy starts crying. I get a phone call from the teacher. Said, oh yeah, well, he hit him in the stomach. I said, well, what did the other kid do? I said, because my son don't just walk around and just start punching people in the stomach. Someone had to do something to him. Now, if you call me about my younger son, then I was like, okay, we have to work something out there. But my older son, that's just not his demeanor. He'd rather just not fool with you before it gets there. And so I said, well, and so he said, well, somebody was picking him. I said, well, there you have it. So my oldest son get in the car. I said, hey man, you had an altercation today? And so he kind of put his head down like, yeah. I said, what happened? He said, well, he was messing with me. I told him to stop. He wouldn't stop. And so I punched him in the stomach. And so turns out it was supposed to be one of his good friends. But like many boys know, when you're around boys, they try to push over the hierarchy. Like, instead of us just being cool and equal, I'm gonna try to make you under me. I want to make you. I want to make you out. I want to make you scared of me. And so my son said, "Well," I said, "Man," I said, what you do? One of your good friends. He said, "Well, I just have to find another friend."
Shout out to nephew, man.
Which was the coldest line.
Shout out to nephew for that.
And I had to dap him up because I said, "Boy, that is cold." And the look he gave me as he looked in the rearview mirror, as I'm talking to him, I'm driving. His head was down. He looked up when I said, "Well, what you gonna do about your friend?" And he looked up at the rearview mirror, looked me dead in my eyes, and said, "I'm just gonna have to find some new friends." And I said, I turned around. I said, "Boy," and I dapped him up. I said, "That is one of the coldest lines I ever heard from a first grader." To say, "I'm gonna find some new friends," but I ain't taking that. It's basically what he was saying.
Facts.
Like, if you think you need to treat me like that to be my friend, then I'm gonna need to find some new ones because I'm not going for that.
Facts.
And this is what most kids lack. And I teach my kids. Someone put their hands on you, man, or someone is, threatening to put their hands on you, man. You ask them to stop, man, and you separate yourself from them.
Mm-hmm.
But if they feel like they need to keep pressing the issue to put their hands on them, you defend yourself. And I said, when the teacher come, you tell them to call your daddy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what he did. He said, I told him to call you. And I said, you did exactly right. And when the teacher got on the phone, I said, well, why did he hit him? Oh, well, Brandon, I think he was messing with him. I said, there you go. See, had you stopped that, this would have never happened. I said that to say, men, raise your boys up, man, to be upstanding individuals, to carry themselves, man, with confidence, to carry themselves, man, with the aura. And, what was good and what I liked about the situation is the little boy came back to school and he apologized. And now they're cool again.
Just had to get a little straightening.
Had to get a little respect is what he had to get. And I tell my son all the time, even in sports, you go earn your respect. You earn that. In your everyday life, you earn that respect. I say if you're around people that don't respect you, you move around.
Yep.
I tell them, don't let nobody talk to you any kind of way. If they can't talk to you with respect, move around. Don't fool with them. And I have taught him this since he was in diapers. Going to the playground. Don't let nobody talk to you any kind of way. You instill that confidence in them. But man, those are stories I wanted to share, man, of how knowing how to handle yourself, save you so much trouble. And it ain't about the physical. It's about the mental.
That's a fact.
But man, we want to, give our 2 cents on this, man. On this story, man, this tragic story, man. But if you have any questions, man, feel free to leave it down in the comment box, man. No matter how you feel, man, we'll respond. Try to keep it respectful. Try to keep it not personal. Try to keep it about the situation. And man, we'll respond, man. You, like I said, you're entitled to have your opinion on how you feel about it, man. I respect that. This is how we feel about it. We gave our opinions about it. You don't have to like it, whatever. And it's fine to say that you don't like it. That's fine. But remember, man, we'll be bringing more stories to y'all, man. We got so many things in store for y'all, man, on this channel, man. Y'all just don't know, man. We got a lot of things coming, man, in the near future, man, that we're going to be talking about a lot of things, man. A lot of stories going on in there, man. A lot of relationship things going on in the world. We're going to touch on everything, man. And really, try to build a community over here, man, and let that be known and bring everybody together, man, under one roof, man, with many different opinions to reach a certain goal and a certain solution, which is how can we have peace and coexist amongst one another. So man, remember, follow us on all social media platforms, man, and let that be known. And also, man, remember, and man, we appreciate all the love, support, man. Continue to rock with us, man. And until next time, man, peace out, man.